The weather is abysmal. It has truly taken a turn for the worst, and I've got errands to run in the middle of town. And being in the middle of town means being about 37 seconds away from CEX. And therefore, everybody, take a wild guess what we're doing today and where we're going. Just take a guess. Um, Something else I'm considering getting. I also need to find the sheath of my camera. Don't know where that is. Something else I'm considering doing slash getting is another PlayStation 3. Maybe two of them at some point. I want another slim PS3 so that I can put it in the living room, so that then I can basically play anything that I want in there between the Series X, the PS5, and the PS3. Being as the Series X is like mostly compatible with every other Xbox console, and a slim would fit pretty nicely on the unit somewhere that I could hide. I think the unit's backless. It is, yeah. So it would be pretty easy. Like I could fit the slim in one of those slots. The back is open, so it would have ventilation or enough. And yeah, that's another thought. And then I'm also kind of tempted at some point to get myself a backwards compatible PS3 again. I had one a few years ago, and it would be potentially kind of cool to get another one now that there's a 5-year warranty rather than a 2-year warranty. I got kind of lucky. Basically, that backwards compatible PS3 broke in the same way they always do. So basically, the early generation of the PlayStation 3s were really fragile, and it was a shame because they were backwards compatible with PlayStation 2. I would quite like a Frankenstein one. That'd be interesting. There are companies that take like parts from a PS3 Slim and Frankenstein them into a fat PS3, basically bulletproofing it. And I'd love that, but I don't know how to go about making that happen. I don't know. And I'd just quite like to have one of those again. Something else I kind of want to have, just to have cool stuff. I kind of want a CRT TV, but the problem is I'd need a big one because I can't go too small. Like I'm used to gaming on a 77-inch TV, so going to like a 24-inch CRT. Why is my camera over there now? What are you doing? I didn't tell you to do this. It's been misbehaving recently, I tell you. What else? So CRT, a couple of PS3s, maybe a Frankenstein one. I'm sort of broadening my horizons in collecting. One day I'm going to need a massive garage, I think, and make like a dedicated outhouse for it. I don't know. I might trade in another microphone if I can find one. I swear to God I've got an old microphone somewhere, another one that I could trade in. I'm going to go have a look. Be right back. I did not find the microphone that I'm trying to find. Maybe I've already traded it in, because I know where it should have been, and it wasn't there. There's a decent chance that at some point along the line I've already traded it in, so I don't know. But it's 1 o'clock, which apparently is my now time to go to CEX time of day. I've got like a bit of an injury in my neck, right, where I'm struggling to turn my head sideways. Like there is about the limit of my range of motion. It's a real problem getting off my drive. I'm like Michael Keaton's Batman, where I've got to move my entire body to look certain directions. It's not ideal. Anyway, let's head into town, run my errands. I really hope oh no. I mean, I could do it after the gym. I think I need to do a bit of a weekly shop because I have absolutely no idea what I'm having to eat now. And I'm running low on Pepsi Max, which I would rather die than run out of Pepsi Max. You guys should know this. So I don't know whether to do the shop now. I mean, I'm going to Aldi. Maybe I can do the Aldi bits now and I'll do the Tesco bits later. That's probably an idea. I'm kind of just thinking out loud. I do this a lot now. I talk to myself more than is reasonable. Like I probably would get sectioned. I don't know. Anyway, let's go. Well, I drove to town and the weather was fine. It was not raining. The second I parked up, however, well, it's taken a turn. So I'm going to sit here for 5 to 10 minutes and hope that this passes so that I can walk my 5 minutes into town or to CEX and everywhere and not get drenched. Here's hoping, eh? While I wait for the weather to chill out, something to talk about, I suppose, is I went to the cinema on my own again yesterday. I saw Fantastic Four, and that's probably the longest it's ever taken me to watch a Marvel film after its release. Usually I'm there like day one, because avoiding spoilers and stuff. And pretty frequently, the bigger Marvel films that release always release on or around my birthday. My birthday is May 5th, and the big Marvel films forever have always released around then. Like most of the Avengers films. I think the Thunderbolts was released around then. But yeah, I watched Fantastic Four yesterday, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. The only thing that I see being a problem with it isn't necessarily a problem with the film itself, because he's good in the film. It's that he's getting on a bit, and there's the whole Hollywood thing with Pedro. It's that they are. It's as if Marvel are looking for their like leading actors, right? Their leading men, as it were, whether they're men or not. And before they had, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth. And I know they still kind of have Chris Hemsworth, but not really. And the other two are just gone. Well, besides Doctor Doom, but that's a whole different thing entirely. And it's like, if they want Pedro to be like a thing, I don't see that happening. He's too old. Like, they need... So, for example, I've heard a rumour that when they cast the X-Men, they're casting unknown actors for the most part. And that's a good thing. You need to cast people that don't have commitments elsewhere, because otherwise they are not going to sign on to do a decade-long deal, You can't expect a guy like Pedro, who is getting on a bit now when it comes to being an action star, who has got more money than God at this point, probably, due to how many massive roles the fella has had in the last few years, to just keep doing it. Even Tom Holland, I think, before has spoken about how he doesn't really know how much longer he wants to do Spider-Man for, because he's already got money for life. The guy's been Spider-Man now since Civil War, and what's that? Civil War might be 10 years ago. Like 10 years of a Spider-Man is longer than Toby did it or Andrew did it. And as much as they're like restarting afresh with Brand New Day, it's still like, how much longer will Tom Holland keep playing Spider-Man for, when he said before that he's kind of getting there with it, and he himself isn't the youngest anymore. It'd be nice for them to do some stories that are not Spider-Man as a young kid, but they would need to age up the MCU version. Like, Tom Holland is getting older, but it's like but Peter Parker in the MCU is not. Do you know what I mean? He's still like young and spry. They could do with like the late 20s version of Spider-Man in the MCU and have that be Tom Holland, if he's willing to do it. But again, he's got enough money that they don't really need to. This is the thing. I don't know if you saw that interview, like Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner declined to do season 2 of Hawkeye because they offered him half the money for the same role. And he'd say, yeah, you can't do that. Disney's got more money than than the universe has ever had. And guys like Jeremy Renner that have been an Avenger now for over a decade, they're not desperate for that money, but you've got to pay them what they're worth, otherwise they're not going to work. At the end of the day, it's work, and people of that level need the pay to warrant doing it. And at some point, they've got enough money where they might not bother at all. So yeah, I think that the film itself was good. It's that I don't think that Pedro was a good choice for Reed Richards, because how many more times is he going to be willing to come back and play Reed Richards? And I know that they're on about like doing a soft reboot, which is almost definitely going to be about Franklin, by the way, but I think they still intend to keep some of the original cast. Like the guy who plays Johnny, that guy who's just started being everywhere, he could do it for a while. He's new enough that he could do a 10-year tenure. Pedro, not so much, But yeah, I think the weather's started to calm down now. I liked the film. We'll head off. I think I'm really lucky that my local CEX seems to get new stuff in so frequently. Given that I visit, as frequently as I do, the fact that every time I walk in, I manage to find something that wasn't there before, or that something is different. It's kind of like, what's that game where it used to be a little book and you had to try and spot the differences? There'd be 2 pictures, left and right. They'd be identical, and the book would tell you that there was something different about each one, and you had to try to identify what it was. Every time I walk into CX, it's like that. So look, they've moved where everything is now. They've moved all the PlayStation 1 and 2 stuff around. They appear to have like quadrupled the amount of consoles they've got. Sadly, they've got a variety of different PlayStation 3s there, but not one that I would like. And I am still so tempted by that Demon's Souls. The temptation to buy that Demon's Souls is increasing by the week. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to not buy it for. I might, after I finish recording this voiceover, go and have a look at how many of them are in stock across like the entirety of CX to see how common it is. Because if it is like fairly common, I'll hold off. But if there's not many of them, maybe I'll pull that trigger, because it is cardboard at the end of the day. And with cardboard, you kind of do almost have to accept some sort of wear and tear. Like my Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation 2 is in not great condition, and it's kind of annoying. And there is a way I could solve that. There is a really good way I could solve that. And maybe one day I will. And in fact, one day I definitely will. But I don't know. With cardboard, the condition, it's so much more difficult for people to keep that in well, good condition as time goes forward, that finding stuff like that isn't, especially the corners of things, I say it every time, but I'm so glad that I don't collect stuff that's much older than PlayStation 2 or 1, because that's when everything was cardboard, and that's just not my thing. At least with everything being plastic, things don't tend to be a problem. At most, when it comes to plastic, you got to deal with discoloration, and even then, you can just case swap things. Like the game that I bought today, when you see that, I case swapped that because that was necessary. But yeah, it's just one of them. Today was also really difficult to film. It was kind of strange. There was a big group of people that were all together, maybe 7 of them, and it made getting around kind of hard, which for a Monday, didn't expect. But yeah, that Demon Souls, we might be getting that soon, if it's still there the next time. We'll see. I much more enjoyed my adult task the other day of buying the kitchen tap than I did today. I ended up having to abort every mission, really. Didn't get anywhere with the first task. I spent literally nearly 2 hours in a bank, and then obviously I can only park for 2 hours. So, and basically, it got to a point where, when you're dealing with, when you are yourself good at technology and you understand the way computers work, and when things freeze up, or when you just know technology, right? But the other person on the end of the phone, or the old woman that works in the shop, they don't know technology. They only know it through the context of which that they work it in. So when things go outside of said scope, they don't get it. It was one of them. Basically, the computers all at these banks just weren't working properly, and they didn't know why. And it's like, well, I can tell you're not going to be able to fix this because it's out of your scope. And at this point, I'm now going around in circles. You're offering me solutions that I know are not solutions to the problem, because the problem is out of both of our hands, in which case we're all of us wasting our own times. I'm wasting my time on the phone. You're wasting your time talking to me on the phone. We might as well just leave it here and try again another day. So after about 2 hours, I was like, I think I need to go and move my car. I'll try again another day. And then I went into CEX for maybe 20 minutes, recorded the clips that you will have just seen, and then managed to just about get some of the shopping done at Aldi. And Christ, as you can tell, the weather has taken a turn. It's way better now. If I'd have headed into town now, it would have been great. And I'm going to have to go and do the rest of the shopping later on when I go to the gym, because that wasn't ideal. But I did actually buy something pretty cool in CEX today. So let's go in and let me show you that. Alrighty then, so today I picked up one game, and I did actually have to case swap it because the condition of the case was not brilliant for the price of the game, and it was a little bit yellowed. Luckily it was the case itself and not the art. However, we got Armored Core 2. Not exactly something I'm crazy into with mechs. However, willing to bet this is going to get more expensive as time goes on. If it's already 18 quid, and that one other Armored Core game is like 300 odd pound, red flag when it comes to the price. So I'll get it now, because another one is, I often will choose to buy a game if I have very rarely ever seen it exist. Like, I couldn't tell you if I've ever seen Armored Core 2 in another CEX, and I've been going to a lot of CEXs for quite a while now. In which case, that tells me probably worth picking up. Same with the cheap games that I've bought the last couple of times, because sometimes cheap games end up pretty rare too. Like, if I see something that I don't often see or have literally never seen, sometimes that is just worth it to me to put in the collection. And at some point I would predict maybe I'll collect all the Armored Cores, especially because I do have a tendency of buying expensive games for the sake of owning them. So yeah, I got this today because I never see it, and I swapped it for a way cleaner case, because the other case had like loads of yellow crap like all over here, and it wasn't great. So today is Armored Core 2. Let me show you this though. I really do need to take some stuff upstairs. So I've got this one here, and then like the Sphinx game, the Mark of Kree, and the 2 wrestling games are also both there. And then over on the microwave, over there, I've got like another stack of games. I need to take some stuff upstairs. I'm off to eat me plate of chicken, because lunch every day is just a plate of chicken. Oh, it tastes so good though. I tell you what does taste good to go with it. You guys ever use this stuff? Bacon mayo. It's so bacony. It has a lot of calories though. 100 grams is 460 calories. How much does it weigh? This whole thing's about 1,000 calories. Yeah, got to be very careful with it. But if you've got the calories to spare, it's some fun. I think that'll do us for today. keep an eye out for a PlayStation 3 that suits what I want. There was a few PlayStation 3s in there today. None of them were the one I want. I want a Slim, and I think like 300 gig. There's loads of them, loads and loads. I don't want the Super Slim because I'm concerned it's going to be too fragile and too noisy. And I like my Slim. I've had a Slim since it released, and it's always just worked. So I just want another one of them. Right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe. See you in a bit.